Welcome to Advanced Legal Documents Preparation. This will be our first lecture covering the orientation materials. Most of this lecture we're going to spend on the syllabus. We're going to kind of do a deep dive into that. Before we get started, though, I'm going to suggest that you pause me and go get a spiral notebook or loose leaf paper, whatever you prefer to use for notes, because there will be several times during this lecture that you'll want to pause me and take some notes of the material. It's really important that you do this because I'm going to be giving you kind of rapid fire information that you need so that you'll be your most successful in this course. It is true that you'll have these resources available to you throughout the semester, so you can always go back and rewatch these lectures or review the syllabus or the other materials. That's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do, but I'm telling you right now, the most efficient way to use your time is to take a little bit longer on this initial lecture by taking these notes, and then avoid having to watch the lectures multiple times because you can just refer to your notes. Now, that does require that you take careful notes and that you note and write down everything that you might need. At various points in this lecture, I'm going to suggest that you pause me, but there may be other points in the lecture that you would want to pause me that maybe I forget to mention it to you. So don't hesitate. You won't hurt my feelings, not even a little bit, if you pause me so you can write down the information. So this is the orientation PowerPoint. I'm actually not going to cover this now. I am now going to flip to the syllabus. You'll find the syllabus in Canvas. Here's what Canvas looks like, and so you can see I'm going down here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, I'll just skip down here to tools you'll use throughout the semester. Is that where it is? Actually, I don't have it showing right now. So we will actually, I'll tell you what, I will put the syllabus right here between instructor, Professor Groover, and the orientation PowerPoint. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, it'll be the fourth item. I'm not actually showing it right now, but that'll tell you where the location will be for the syllabus I'm about to show you. Here we go. Here is the syllabus. You'll see when I cover this today that several items are in yellow highlight. The copy that you will see won't be in yellow highlight, but you may well want to pull up your syllabus now and go ahead and highlight those portions so that you can be in a position to pay particular attention to those. And of course, you can annotate your syllabus if you would like by opening it up and typing in whatever additional information that you want. Now, the syllabus that you see may be a little bit different than this one. For example, it may come from a different semester, so you'll want to adjust information accordingly. The first thing you're going to be interested in, and honestly, it's probably the only thing on the first page of the syllabus you're going to be interested in, is the withdrawal date. That'll be on a Friday, kind of mid-semester. If it's in the summertime, it's possible it'll be on a different day of the week. This will be the last day that you can withdraw without the instruction of the dean, which is pretty difficult to get, so you'll want to calendar this. This date isn't just for this course, but it's for any long semester 16-week course. That date will apply, so even if you are loving this course but not liking another course, this is a useful date for you to have. So I'm going to suggest you pause me now, go to the syllabus that we're using this semester, pull up that date, and add that withdrawal date to whatever calendaring tool that you currently use. Okay, so we're back. You've added that calendar date. We're ready to move forward. And of course, I hope that you don't want to withdraw from this course. I hope that you're having a wonderful time and learning lots of cool stuff. But I understand that things can happen over the course of the semester. Maybe you win the lottery and you're living on the in the south of France now, and you're not so concerned about paralegalism. And so under those circumstances, I give you permission to withdraw. Of course, if you're experiencing academic challenges, come see me before you withdraw. I'm happy to help. Many times students think they are doing poorly in classes when in fact they might be doing quite well. I can't tell you how many students have come to me and said, "Am I failing?" And they have a B average in the class. It's a really, really common thing. Part of it is the way that I grade can be confusing for students. And so before you decide that you are just not being successful in the course, come see me either virtually or in person or by telephone, and we'll figure out where you are so that you can make the best decision about how to go forward. Sometimes students in that situation are a little reluctant to see me. They're worried I'm going to give them a lecture, or I'm going to make them feel bad, or something like that. Nothing could be further from the truth. I am here to support you whether you are getting 100s on everything or whether you are not currently passing the course. I don't make judgments. I know that life is complicated and everybody's got a lot of things going on and everybody's doing the best they can. So please, please don't feel self-conscious if you've got some grades that maybe aren't exactly what you would ideally want them to be. Okay, so let's go to the next page. You'll see there's lots of things on this page to talk about. The first thing is my office hours. You'll see my office hours here. And you'll see that I have a combination of two types of office hours. I have some face-to-face office hours, and right here, and then right here. And then I also have some virtual office hours, and these will be the Zoom office hours. For my face-to-face office hours, you can actually come to my office, and you can see sometimes it's actually in my office, sometimes it's in another location. This is the associate faculty office. Or you can call me. Now, you can't call me when I'm in some place that's other than my office, but you can call me in my office, and my telephone number is actually right here. Also, though, you can come to my virtual office hours. Here we go. And these are things that you can enter via computer. And here are the instructions about how to participate in virtual office hours. You can see that if you have an Android, it's super easy to do. You just literally click on this link and it'll take you into the room. I'm actually using Zoom right now, so you're actually participating in Zoom, not in real time. Obviously, this is taped, but it's the same deal, really, whether you are in Zoom live or in a taped version. Really, really super easy. If you have an iPhone, there's a little bit different process. You can even use a landline to contact me. You can, so this can be, when you're doing the virtual hours, you can do it virtually or by telephone. So this is designed especially for the online students who might be working during the day or perhaps are even in a different city. This makes it easy for you to reach out and for us to talk about questions and concerns that you might have about the course. Zoom is super easy to use. I've been using it for several years and I've never had a single student say, I can't figure it out. But if you happen to be struggling with it, just send me an email. I will be glad to brainstorm with you to see what's going on that might not be successful. And of course, we can always talk over the telephone. So there's lots of different options that we have to ensure your success. Here's my telephone number. You're welcome to call that when I'm in my office. So for example, this particular semester, this would be a good time to call me, and this would be a good time to call me. Outside of my office hours, though, please don't call me. I am rarely in my office outside of my office hours. I work a lot, but I work from home. I've got kids and other family responsibilities, and so it makes more sense for me to work from home. And so a voicemail that you leave on my answering machine is just not going to be answered for several days. I am, though, pretty compulsive about my email. I am going to probably respond to your email so quickly that you're going to be surprised and maybe even a little scared. Is this lady stalking me? That is by far the quickest way to reach me. But I don't want you to think I don't want to talk to you. I absolutely do want to talk to you. An email is a good way for us to schedule a time for a telephone conversation. So let's say, for whatever reason, you can't come to my normal office hours, and so you want to schedule a different time. Send me an email. Hey, can we talk on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m.? You send that to me Thursday at 9:15 a.m. I might well be responding to you by 9:20 a.m. saying, sure, sounds great. It's a date, and we'll talk at that point in time. You'll give me your number, and I'll give you a call, and we'll be good to go. So don't hesitate to email me. It's a better method than the phone number system, except during my office hours, where I am actually in my office. Okay. So let's go to the different ways of emailing. I'm going to share with you how this works for me. Other instructors may do this differently, so this is not a global comment. There are kind of two ways that students email me or communicate with me electronically. One way is through my email, and this is the way that you ought to use. So you just send cgroover@collins.edu an email message. There is, however, another approach, and that is this inbox over here on Canvas. I can't turn this off. I would love to turn it off because invariably students who have multiple teachers forget what I'm about to say. But you're not going to forget because you're going to pause right now and you're going to write this in your notes. Do not use the Canvas inbox. The reason you don't want to use the Canvas inbox is that I don't open it. I don't look at it. Weeks can go by and I don't even notice that it's there. And so you can send me an urgent note, on February 1st, and I might not see it till May 1st. Not very efficient. The way to get my attention is through email. The reason I don't pay attention to this is because I've told everybody use the email system. And many of my students, I say most of my students, I have for more than one semester. So I have separate folders for students, and I like to organize all the emails that I get on that basis. The Canvas inbox doesn't allow me to do that, so it's not as efficient a system as the system that I have with my email. And that's why I don't use it. And the reason why, again, I don't look is that I've told everybody don't use that tool. If you forget, I might notice it and open it up, but probably the first thing I'm going to do is say, hey, I'm not using this tool. Go ahead and send the email to me through my collin.edu mailbox. So just wanted to alert you to that. Put that in your notes. Refresh yourself on it periodically so that you'll be sure to get a prompt and complete response to whatever it is that you're needing. Okay, let me go back to the syllabus. Meeting times. We don't meet, of course, at all in this course, but we do meet virtually really, really often. I've got lectures for everything that we do in the class. And in fact, sometimes my lectures are longer than they would be in a face-to-face class. So you get to watch the lectures in your jammies at 2 a.m. if you want. That's the convenient thing, but don't think it's going to involve less time watching lectures or doing things along those lines. Some weeks it might be more. It's really going to vary. There is a textbook for the course. It's called Just Writing, Grammar, Punctuation Style for the Legal Writer, and it's by Ann Inquist. You don't have to have the most current edition. That combined with the lectures are your textbook for the course. The lectures really are, though, the main textbook. And so just like you would always read the chapters that you're assigned, always watch the lectures. And again, the same thing with the lectures as you're doing here. You're going to want to take careful notes so you don't have to listen to lectures 2 and 3 times. And in fact, when the lecture is about document creation, you're probably going to want to start the assignment as you watch the lecture. So as I explain how to center something or how to indent something or how to format something, you're actually doing that task at the same time. And so you're going to pause me and turn me on and go back 30 seconds and do all that kind of stuff. That's your smartest way of investing in terms of time. If you watch the whole lecture and then start the assignment, you're going to find yourself flipping back to the beginning of that lecture time and time again. It's just not going to be as efficient as if you were to do it all at the same time. So be prepared to do the assignment while you watch the lecture. That's another pointer. So write that down so you'll remember that. Microsoft Word information. Let me pause here and tell you a little bit about the program. One of the things that all programs at college, and in fact all community colleges do, is they continuously look at the curricula that they have and make judgments and ideas for improvement. And one of the things that we're working on in this program, in the paralegal program, is how to make this course even more awesome. And one of the things that we've noticed is that sometimes students don't have a firm foundation in Microsoft Word. I'd say probably 80 to 90% of students do have that foundation, but there is a small portion of the population that doesn't. Nothing bad about that. Maybe you just haven't been exposed to that. It's an easily fixed problem. So don't worry. If you happen to be in that category, this is something that can be addressed very, very easily. And there's a few different techniques I'm going to suggest. One would be to go to the library or Half Price Books or another bookstore and get a book that will teach you, or at least be a guide for you for Microsoft Word. Again, if you use the library, it's going to be free. Another approach would be come to see me. I'll be happy to walk you through the information you need for success on Microsoft. A third approach would be for you to take a course either at Collin or somewhere else to support that. I don't think you need a course. Most people don't, but some people enjoy maybe really diving into it and getting the nitty-gritty details. Having said that, you do need to know some fairly basic stuff about Microsoft Word. If you don't know how to do something, Google it. most of the time you're going to find the answer really, really quickly. Alternatively, come and see me and I'll be glad to hold your hand and we'll figure out all of the ins and outs of what you need to do. But you really, really do need to have some Microsoft Word understanding, and that's a good thing to put on your to-do list from the very, very beginning, and to start acquiring that knowledge today so that you'll be ready for the assignments that are coming up. Another thing that you need is a calendaring tool. And so if you haven't already paused, be sure to write down need to be proficient in basic Microsoft Word. Okay, the next thing you need is a calendaring tool. I've already mentioned one date you have to write down. There are loads of dates in this course, a tremendous number of dates. And I would say that probably the biggest source of a lack of success in this course is students not submitting the assignments. Sometimes they don't submit it because they're confused about the dates. Sometimes they just feel overwhelmed by all the things that happen. And so it has to do with managing your time and making sure that you know when everything is due. And so having a calendaring tool is really, really helpful. It's not just helpful for this course, though. It's helpful for all paralegals. A big portion of many paralegals jobs, in fact, I would say most paralegals jobs, is calendaring. The attorney expects and wants the paralegal to be the one responsible for making sure all deadlines are known by the people who need to know them and are met. And so being the guardian of the calendaring tool is a really, really important function that paralegals do. So there's no time better than today to start developing those skills, and this is a good course to start. You need a calendaring tool, but it doesn't need to be anything that you're paying for. You can use an online thing. You can use something on your phone. Actually, Canvas has a calendaring tool. Let me just show you that. I'm going to flip on over back to Canvas. You can see we have a calendar right here. I'm going to click on it so you can see. And you can see in this particular class, the additions are going to be green. It gives you all of the dates. Now, if you have more than one class, you'll see several other items here. So let's just flip through and you can see the dates. For this class, I have virtually everything calendared. Not the midterm and the final exam, but the vast majority of things will already be calendared. You'll see almost everything is going to be due on a Sunday. And typically every Sunday there will be, you can see this one, there's typically 2 or 3 assignments every Sunday that are due. So you can see if you don't calendar it, you're going to be in a world of hurt because it's going to be hard for you to keep track of what's due and when it's due. So be sure to do that. And my suggestion would be to set aside 45 minutes or an hour in the next day or two to write down all of the dates in whatever calendaring tool you want to use. So let's get back to the syllabus. So we've talked about now how you need to have some basic proficiency in Microsoft Word. We've talked about your need for a calendaring tool. Let's talk about how the grades are developed by me, or how I calculate the grades. This is important for you to understand for 2 reasons. The first reason that it's important is so that to decide where you're going to invest your time. You'll see that document preparation is the most important by far of the things we're going to do in this class. There will be some other assignments that we do, but you'll see they're significantly less important. Now there are fewer of these, so each one of these items is more than 20% as important as a document preparation assignment. But even given that, each one of these activities are less important than one of these activities. And you can see that the midterm and the final exam are certainly weighted, and certainly any midterm or any final exam is worth more than any individual one of these, but not so dramatically. So this isn't a course about tests. This is a course about assignments, and you'll want to focus on those more so than the midterm and the final examination. Knowing how this equation works is going to help you decide where to invest your time, how to work smarter rather than harder. So that's one reason you need to know this information. The second reason you need to know this information is you need to kind of consider, well, how am I doing in the class? That's important, especially if you're not doing as well as you would like and you're considering dropping. And how can you figure out how you're doing? Well, let me pause and take you to the grades. This is a Bob, the test student, and you can see how here at the bottom, Canvas will calculate some grades. Now, in this particular semester, I haven't entered any percentages here. So you can see as we go back here, the discussion board grade should be 5%. Let's look here. The class participation 5%, that's what that should be. But I show it being 0%. I haven't added any data. You may say, well, Groover, why did you do that to us? Why didn't you add the data? I don't add the data because Canvas is awesome. I love Canvas, but it is awesome in almost everything. But the one area it's not so awesome is in grade calculation. The way that I calculate grades is fairly sophisticated, has lots of nuances and exceptions and things like that, and Canvas just can't do it. So if I were to program Canvas, it's not going to give you exactly what your correct grade is, but it's going to look like it's giving you the correct grade. It's going to give you a number that isn't going to be accurate, but it's going to kind of look accurate. And that's going to be a source of confusion. And so I have a choice between programming it and giving you a grade that's kind of in the neighborhood, but not really, or not programming it at all, and you're really not going to be given a lot of guidance through Canvas. I have chosen to do the second. Sometimes I switch it up though and do the first because I'm really kind of torn. Neither approach is very good, but sometimes I will program it. But even if I do program it, even if when you go to Canvas you see all kinds of percentages here, it's still going to be wonky. It's still not going to work quite right for you. It's going to not do the calculation perfectly. And you know what? That is okay. It's actually perfectly okay because you have all the data. You don't need Canvas to crunch numbers because you've got you. And so you can arrange things by assignment group and it'll order all of the items. And so you can look at a particular category. For example, you can look at all of the discussion boards and take an average grade of all the discussion boards and then multiply it by 5%. You got your grade. And you can take all of the English convention assignments plus the quizzes, get an average grade, and multiply it by 10%, and you've got that grade. So you have all of the data that you need. The only thing you need to do is some basic arithmetic to get that together. Canvas isn't up for the task, but you are. You're a high school or college graduate, and you know how to do this. And if you don't know how to do it, there's two things to say. The first thing to say is, come see me. I'm happy to sit down with you, walk you through it so that you are empowered to calculate your own grade. That's the first thing. The second thing is, guess what? It's my job to calculate your grade. It's not your job. You don't have to do a thing about your grade. I promise you I will calculate your grade correctly. I'm very careful. I'm very comfortable crunching the numbers. I will do an accurate job doing it. So you don't need to do it because I'm going to do it. It's my job. Your job is to do the work. My job is to grade it and to calculate the overall grade. So you don't have to be good at this. But again, if you're interested, if you're curious, I'm happy to help. I actually have a little video that goes through that right here. It's called Calculating and Curving Grades. It's about 3 or 4 minutes long that will help you understand both how to calculate your own grades and also how I curve grades, which is another topic that I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about at this point because people forget it at this point and remember it. But why don't you pause right now and make a notation to watch this video, the short video, so that you'll understand better how to calculate the grades. Also, write down, don't trust Canvas for overall grade because it can't accurately calculate it. Make another notation, go see Groover if I need help calculating my grades. Okay, now I will alert you to this. I'm not going to be able to help you the final week or so of classes. It's a crazy time for you. It's a crazy time for me. And so under those circumstances, what I'm going to say to you is, I promise you I'm going to calculate your grades right. After the dust settles and I've entered grades, I'm happy to sit down with you and show you how I do it. But there's really no benefit to you knowing, during the final week of classes because there's nothing you can do to change it at that point. You'll find out your grades the following week. And then again, once you see the grade, you're like, wait a second, this doesn't seem right. I'm happy to sit down with you and we'll crunch all the numbers and figure out the math. Okay, so let's go back to the syllabus. We've talked about how the grades are calculated. There's some orientation materials available if you'd like to go through those. Class participation. Students really enjoy the discussion boards, and so I encourage you to approach those as an opportunity to network and to get to know other students. It's also an opportunity to kind of buttress up a grade that maybe is otherwise, maybe you're not doing quite so well in some other parts of the class, because if you are actively, genuinely trying to participate and following the guidelines, you're going to do well in the class participation grade. Let's talk about the parts of the participation grade. Okay, you will need to have 3 posts every week. You'll need to have what I call the responsive or the substantive post, and you'll need to make 2 or more reply posts. For your substantive post or your first post, you'll need to post the word count for that post. It needs to be at least 100 words long. So those are the things. Go ahead and pause and write that down. 1 substantive post, at least 100 words with word count, 2 replies to students in the class. Let me show you how that works. So I'm going to flip on over here and I'm going to find a discussion board. We'll do the introduction discussion board. So I click on this. You'll see this reply button. That's what I click on to start my reply, to start my post. I have to post before I can see any replies, and that stops students from basically cutting and pasting somebody else's work. That's the intent there. Okay, let's talk about the assignment submission. This one's the important, and again, I would like for you to add this to your notes and also put a huge star by it, because this is really, really important. I do not accept documents that are not, submissions that are not in .doc or .docx format. You have to use Microsoft Word in this course. Let me explain to you why I have that policy, then I'm going to give you some suggestions about how to work with Microsoft Word. I require Microsoft Word because that's what law firms use. That is what you'll be using as a legal professional. And so you need to learn how to use it. It's not very productive for you to learn on a different word processing system how to do all the stuff that we learn, and then you show up on your first day in your new job as a paralegal and you don't know how to do this stuff in Microsoft Word because you weren't using Microsoft Word. So that's one reason why you need to use Microsoft Word. Probably that's most important. The second has to do with the fact that if you use some other word processing system or you PDF it or something like that, I can't see the formatting that exists in your documents. Let me show you what I mean. When I grade your work, I hit this little backwards P here and I get to see all the formatting. I can see where you hit a space bar. I can see where you indent. I can see all the spaces between words. So let's say there's an extra space there. I can see that. Now when I make the paragraph sign go away, it's maybe not quite so obvious, but it's very obvious when I have the 2 dots. If you aren't using Microsoft Word, I can't necessarily see this stuff. When documents are PDF'd, all that stuff goes away. I need to see it because those are the basis of your grades. If you use another word processing system, I may or may not be able to see that. And also, I may or may not be able to open your document. So you have to use Microsoft Word. It is not optional. You will not pass the course unless you have this tool. The wonderful news is you have access to it. You don't have to buy a thing because as a student here, you have access to the Collin Computer Labs. And all the computers in that location have Microsoft Word. And so you can just come down to the computer labs and do all of your assignments. You can also use the computer labs for any other computer purpose. For example, watching the lectures. And remember to bring earbuds so you won't drive your next door neighbor crazy, but you can use it for all of the work that you do in this class or really any other class. So you need to use this. It's not an optional thing. Now, if you work in an office environment, you probably do have access to that at work. And assuming that it's okay with your boss, you may well be able to do some of these tasks during your lunch hour or before or after work. That's a good approach. But just know that this is a requirement. If you're not able to do that this semester, best that you drop the course now and plan for a semester where you're going to be able to do that. Now, sometimes what students do is they will start the document in a different format. For example, they might use Google Docs or something like that. And then they cut and paste it into Word, maybe just to kind of polish up the document so that, you know, it's got all the formatting that we need. That's okay. For one thing, I won't really know whether you do it or not, so I guess it would be okay. but just keep a couple of things in mind. First of all, the formatting changes are not going to be trivial that you're going to have to use. So you'll need to be sure to budget a significant amount of time. So you're going to have to format it twice, which means it's going to take more time than it would have if you just used Microsoft Word for the whole activity. That's the first thing. The second thing is students who do that oftentimes miss things because there's just things that they will have forgotten to check. And so it's a little bit of a dangerous thing to do from that perspective. Now, sometimes people use other versions of I'll very commonly see kind of unofficial, we'll call it that, versions of Microsoft Word. As long as it functions like Microsoft Word, I don't care. Just keep in mind that there may be some copyright issues in play there, some intellectual property issues. I'm not going to police that, but that's something for you to reflect when you happen to use things. I'll regularly see ones that show up with Asian language lettering on it, and that usually means that this is not something that Microsoft is getting the appropriate compensation for. So just keep that in mind, that you do need some version of Microsoft Word that I can see all the lovely formatting on. Another thing is that when I return the grades, and usually I'll do it within less than a week, I will give you a numerical grade, and I will also give you comments. These comments are much more important than the numerical grade. The reason the comments are so important is that most of the comments that I make will be things that you will need to change for all the subsequent assignments. And invariably, I'll have students who make the same mistake every single document, which suggests to me they're not reading the comments, because usually what they need to correct, it's not going to take them any longer to do it the right way than the wrong way. For example, maybe they're forgetting to indent the first line of a paragraph. I mean, all they have to do is hit the tab button. And so I will have told them in their comments, be sure to indent the paragraphs. And when they don't do that again and again and again, that suggests to me they're not reading their comments. You are throwing away points when you do that. Just don't do it. Read the comments. That information is so much more important than the points that you're getting on an assignment. Let's say you get a low grade on an assignment, especially one early in the semester. But you look, because I will tell you why you lost every single point. When you get that information, you will be able to say, okay, I won't do that mistake again. Okay, I won't do that mistake again. And again, you'll add those particular issues to your spiral notebook that you're writing here. And so next time when you submit an assignment, you'll go over those issues. Wait a second, last time I forgot to indent the paragraphs. Have I remembered to do this on the next assignment? Well, yes, I have. Okay, so I'm not going to miss that point. And so what you'll discover is that low grade actually is helping you do better on your next grades. So let me show you how to see those comments. Here's an example of a grade sheet. And you can see here Bob earned a 25 out of a possible 30 points. But you'll see there's these little conversation bubbles over here. We click on that and we can see the comments. So this is what I posted. Dear Bob, thank you for your submission. Here are the deductions. And we can see there's a 4, 17, 20, 24, and 31. Here are some additional comments. Avoid passive voice, watch comma usage. Many times I will give you more specifics about, exactly where you use passive voice or where you have a comma problem. You may say, well, what are these numbers about? Well, in addition to, or when I post the grades for the assignment, I also post 2 additional documents. One is an example about how the document should have looked. It's a model, so to speak, so you'll definitely want to look at that. The other one is a comment code list. So for all of the comments, and you can see there's at least 31 comments that I will have, I have it correlated with a number. So maybe comment 24 is indent the first line of all paragraphs. I don't want to type that up every time, so I give it a comment code, and so I say 24. So when you see this, you're going to pull up all the comments for this particular assignment and look at comment 4 and 17, 20, 24, and 31, so you can get that information. And so that's going to empower Bob to not make these errors. Now you can see I have 2 additional comments for Bob. He didn't get a deduction for these, but he's probably going to get them next time that he makes these errors, so he definitely needs to address them. Early in the semester, I don't take nearly as many deductions. There's a lot of times I say, don't do this in the future. Next time you're probably going to get a deduction. By the end of the semester, there's almost no additional comments. Virtually everything is causing a deduction. So these will transition to the top list once people become more comfortable and fluent with these activities. You can see we have 5 comments that are resulting in a deduction, and you can see he lost 5 points. Typically, a error results in a 1-point loss out of 30 points. Sometimes if there's 2 documents in assignment, it'll be a half a point. So that's how that works. So you can see this number isn't giving you a lot of useful information. It's the comment that's so useful. When we look at the comment codes, you'll also see that it's useful not to just focus on the 5 that you missed, but also the others, because maybe you didn't make that mistake this time, but maybe next time you will, and so it's useful. Plus, it's also satisfying. Oh, somebody did that. I didn't do that. So it's always nice to have that kind of validation that you're doing many, many, many things right. Another thing is I do not accept late assignments. I actually have something on Canvas about that. Let me go back to home. At the bottom of the orientation materials, it says, why I do not accept late assignments. So if you have any questions about that, be sure to watch this. It kind of explains what's going on with that. But the bottom line is, I'm very sorry. I don't blame you at all. You're a wonderful person. I'm sure you have an awesome reason why you missed the assignment. But no, there are no late assignments that I'm going to accept for credit. Now, if you aren't able to submit an assignment on time and you want me to evaluate it like I do everyone else's and tell you the grade that you would have earned, I'm glad to do that. But it won't be for credit. Okay, so let's go to our next section. So these document assignment grading, this relates to this category. This is the bulk of the class. Now I'm going to flip and talk about this category, English convention assignments. And you may be thinking to yourself, what? English convention? What does that mean? It's proofreading assignments. It's grammar assignments is what it is. So what you're going to be doing is proofreading documents, and you're going to be correcting grammar errors and a few stylistic errors. These assignments build on each other. So the first assignment that you do in this area will be relatively straightforward because you will be looking for just a very few set of errors. But then the next assignment, we will add the errors we looked at in the first one to the next one, and so you'll have 2 sets of categories of errors to look at. Then the third one, there'll be 3 sets, so it becomes more and more complicated. This requires a lot of attention to detail. I have some tools to talk about. Let me go ahead and just show you where to find those. Oh, here I have an item about how to participate in the discussion board. And here are instructions for grammar proofreading assignments. So again, this is another tool. All of this is within the orientation material. Okay, these assignments are a small part of your grade. They're in total only 10%. So guess what? You can miss one, and the odds of it even dropping your grade a letter is small. These are designed to help you develop some skills that you may be lacking. They aren't things to worry about. Many times students come to see me and they want to spend all their time on this, but they don't spend the time on the document preparation assignment. If you have to make a choice between doing the grammar or the proofreading assignment, the English convention assignment, and the document assignment, always do this one. This is where the points are. This is what this class is about. This is kind of an extra little thing. It's important, certainly, to develop these skills, but that's not the primary focus of this class. So this is where you start. Once you've got this done, then you can flip over and do these activities and permits. So pause and write down in your journal that the document assignments are much more important than the proofreading assignments. And again, just like I don't accept late document assignments, I don't accept English convention assignments late. We'll also have some quizzes. The quizzes will be typically in weeks that we don't have an English convention assignment. So going back to our calendar, let me go flip over here to our calendar, we'll see that you typically have an English convention assignment Let me go to February. We typically will have here, grammar proofreading assignments, what we call it here. So you'll see it'll be this week, and then we'll probably have, actually we have, the next week we'll also have a proofreading assignment. But the week after that, we don't have a proofreading assignment. That's where we'll have a quiz. I don't actually have it listed here yet, so that's something I'll be adding, but that will be where it will pop up. And of course, you'll be able to see all of the due dates over here. So you can look on the calendar or you can look here as things pop up. So typically you won't have both a quiz and a grammar proofreading assignment in the same week, but I'm not going to promise you. The quizzes and the English convention grammar proofreading assignments together make up 10% of your grade. So again, the quizzes aren't a big deal. They aren't going to affect your grade. At the most, they might affect it 1-letter grade if you really, really bomb them. They are designed to give you, the student, valuable information. It's like you and I are having a conversation. And so you take the quiz and I'm giving you feedback. Oh, you got 100. What I'm telling you is you're good to go. Whatever that skill is, you've got it under control. Congratulations, and move on to the next thing. Well, let's say you get a 30 on it. What I'm saying is, oh, you're not good to go on this. You need some support. Come see me, review the information in more detail. The likelihood of this 30 affecting your grade, dropping your letter grade, is very small. It's not impossible, but it's very small. I'm not giving you a low grade because I want your grade to suffer. I'm giving you a low grade here so your grade can improve. Because whatever on this quiz you weren't successful at means that when you submit an assignment on that topic, you're not going to be successful on that. And that's when you start losing grades. So this is kind of an early warning system. It lets you know, oh, wait a second, I thought I knew how to do that in a Word, but I obviously don't. So I need to learn that. Come see me when you do poorly on these, or use some other resources. So don't worry about this. See this as me telling you, sitting down with you and saying, hey, listen, friend, this is where you're struggling. This is where you're doing great. Let's work on where you need to fill in that gap. Okay, so that's the information about the English convention assignments and quizzes. So we've talked about the first 3 of these topics, and now we have the midterm and the final examination. The final, these you will take, the quizzes you will take at home. They will be timed, but some of them will be timed. I'm not sure that all of them will be, but probably they will be timed. The examinations will not be timed. However, you will need to take them in a proctored environment. And you have 2 opportunities here. One is to take it through the Collin Testing Center. We have them on 3 campuses, the Frisco, the Plano, and the McKinney campus. I will actually drop off the test information to the Frisco campus because that's where I office, and I will ask that it be released to the other 2 testing centers. Most of the time that happens seamlessly. Every now and again, though, there's a glitch and it doesn't get transmitted or it doesn't get received or it gets misfiled or who knows what happens. And so every now and again what will happen is somebody will go to the Plano campus, the McKinney campus, and attempt to take the test. And they'll be told, it's not here. And then they will, not surprisingly, become frustrated. Don't be that person. Let's walk through strategies to avoid that. So I'm going to suggest that once I'm done with this, you pause and write this down, especially if you're thinking that you'll take this test on a campus other than the Frisco campus. So what you ought to do before you go to take the test is you ought to call ahead and say, hey, I'm going to take this test at your testing center. I've been told by my instructor that it is available, even though she dropped it off at the Frisco campus. You'll call, they'll confirm. Probably 80 and 90% chance they'll say, yep, it's right here waiting for you. And you'll go in, you'll take it. Awesome experience. But let's say it's that rare circumstance where, no, we don't know what you're talking about. Then that's when you say, I'm sure that my instructor did it. Can you check again? I can't tell you how many times they find it the second time. So be a little bit persistent and see if you can get it. But let's say that doesn't work. No, we just don't have it. Well, then the next step is, can you call the Frisco Center? Because I'm sure that my teacher asked for it to be released. Maybe somebody forgot to fax it or send it to you. Have them call with the Frisco Center will be able to find that sheet that I completed and see, oh yeah, she did want it sent, okay? And they will send it or resend it or whatever needs to happen. And guess what? You can take the test then. If for some reason they're unwilling to make the call or the Frisco Center won't cooperate or who knows what, that's when you get me involved. But I'm going to give you some heads up here. First of all, I'm not available many times. And so if you want to take a test at a particular time, the odds of me being able to immediately jump in and do something are relatively small. That's why you want to make sure you're setting this up and resolving this well before you're the test date. So let's say you want to take the test on a Thursday. Make these calls on Tuesday. So in the very unlikely event there's some challenges, you and I will have opportunity to email each other and get it resolved. The weekends, by the way, are the most difficult time to reach me. Most weekends, I am at a lake house. We have intentionally set up our lake house so we don't have cell phone reception and we don't have internet reception. So I won't know if you send me anything Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday, I am not reachable. And so if that's the time you're taking the test and you're not able to find the test, you're going to be out of luck taking on the campus that you want. But at the end of the day, it's really not a big deal because guess what? Frisco isn't that far from either one of these two campuses. So you always have your fallback plan of going to the Frisco campus if nothing else works. Okay, so that's how you take it if you want to take in the testing center. Oh, let me also pause. If you haven't used a testing center before at Collin, let me give you some general information. First of all, you will need your college-wide ID, your student ID. It will not work for you to use your driver's license. They insist upon that particular ID. Now, as a student, you're entitled to a free one of these cards. It's the same card you use to check out books from the library. If you've mislaid your card, you can get another card, I think for $5. You'll need to go to Student Life on one of the campus to do that. And Student Life isn't open every single hour of the day, so you'll need to plan ahead for that. Another thing to keep in mind is Testing Center has somewhat restricted hours. Generally speaking, they have hours open until 9 p.m. on Monday through Thursday. At least that's usually the rules that they have. On Friday, they close early, I think around 3-ish. On Saturday, they close also around 3-ish. Maybe it's 5, but relatively early. They have no hours on Sunday. Their start hours also vary. Sometimes it's 9 o'clock, sometimes it's 10 o'clock. You'll want to check the website before you make plans. Another thing to keep in mind about the testing center is that you have to show up an hour before it closes. Now, the test you take in this course, you're going to want more than an hour anyway. But let's say you're Speedy Gonzalez when you take the test and you're going to really get in there and do it super, super quick. Well, okay, great. That's wonderful. Go ahead and complete the test as early as you can. But keep in mind, they're not going to let you start until after that starting time. So you can start the test at 7:30 and be done by 8. But if you arrive at 8:30 and they close at 9, even though you're really going to get it done in 30 minutes, they're not going to let you get it done in 30 minutes. That's just not how they're going to proceed with respect to those types of tasks. So keep that in mind. Always check the hours of the testing center. Also, if there's a holiday in that particular time period, the testing center may be closed at certain times. You won't need a scan time for these tests. They are computer-based. I strongly, strongly urge you not to wait until the last day. Things can come up. You can get sick. You can have car trouble. You can have a sick kid or something along those lines. Or the test may not be there. Who knows what? Or maybe all of the computers are being used by other students. I don't give extensions because I give several days, typically a week to take the test. If you want to, you say, hey, well, I showed up on the last day and they didn't have a computer waiting for me. My question is going to be, what about the other 6 days? Why weren't you able to take it on those days? And if your answer is, well, I just wanted to wait till the last day, that's not going to work. So take the test at least the day before. And that way you're going to be safe. You're going to take care of yourself so that you'll be able to complete the test. Okay. So that's a lot of information about the testing center. If you're planning on doing some of those things, go ahead and pause me and write that stuff down. Now let's talk about ProctorU. This is the one that students most commonly make a mistake with. The vast majority of students in the class will not have any interest in using ProctorU, but there are typically maybe 1 or 2, possibly 3 students who have some interest in it. Let me explain what ProctorU is. ProctorU is a remote proctoring tool that you can use from your home. What'll happen is that you will log into ProctorU, and ProctorU will proctor the test for you as you are doing it at your home. It is not a free service. Typically, the cost will be somewhere between $9 and $31 per test. So if you're thinking, well, I'll save some gas money by not having to come to campus, um, by using ProctorU, probably not. It's probably going to be more expensive. Even if you have daycare issues, ProctorU is probably not the best approach to use, because if you've got young children, you will still need to have somebody taking care of them, because you can't have other people around you. And you can't really tell a 3-year-old, mommy's taking a test or daddy's taking a test, and expect them to not come walking in the middle of your test. Maybe if they're 12, you can expect them to do that. But little kids, you're still going to need to have some kind of childcare arrangement for them. Now, of course, if you're going to be out of town for the dates of the test, ProctorU can make a lot of sense. And so that's probably the most likely use that you'll have for it. So how does ProctorU work? Well, you'll need to have a computer that's compatible with ProctorU. There's information about how to, and let me just flip on over here. I'll show you how that works. You'll see, actually I don't have a separate one. Maybe I have it here. Let's see if I do. Okay, so I will send you an email if you're interested in ProctorU that will give you a link that will describe to you what your computer needs to do. And in fact, there's actually a button you push, and the computer, their computer system will be able to see if your computer satisfies the requirements necessary for ProctorU. Usually, reasonably new computers will satisfy it. You will need to have a webcam. That's probably the one thing that is most likely to cause a problem for you. So that is how ProctorU works. Now, there are several aspects to preparing for using ProctorU. You need to do some things. I need to do some things. ProctorU needs to do some things. And sometimes ProctorU, I mean, it's a good service. I have no criticism of it, but it can take 2 or 3 days to greenlight a particular request. And so I ask and require that you let me know 10 days before the first day of the midterm window is. So how do you know when the midterm window is? Let me show you. Let's go down here to the midterm. So you can see the day of the midterm window is March 18th for this semester. So you would need to send me an email by March 8th to get the ball rolling with respect to that. For the final, this particular semester, it starts May 13th. So you would need to contact me by May 3rd. But you know what? If you think you want to use ProctorU, pause right now and send me an email. You know what the email address is, right? We talked about that earlier, right here. Send me an email right now saying, I'm interested in ProctorU. And then when you've sent that email, go ahead and come back. So that way you don't have to worry about remembering the 10 days. I do take the 10-day requirement seriously. So if you don't submit it by the date, you will be needing to take the test at one of the Collin testing centers. Okay, so here is the course calendar. In some sense, this is duplicative information because it is available in the course information here. You'll see it's divided up into modules. Here's module 1, here's module 2, here's module 3, etc., etc. But I also provide the information here with due dates. The due date on Canvas is the one that you have to be sure to satisfy that the due date should match, but I am a very fallible person, and so it is entirely possible that I have a typo or something. If you see an incongruity, I give you one date here and there's another date on Canvas, please let me know as soon as possible so that I can figure out which one is right and make any adjustments. But Canvas is the one that is going to be most relevant. When a due date comes and goes on Canvas, you won't be able to post the minute after the due date has come and gone. It's going to vanish from your screen. So that's the details about that. So I think at this point we have completed the syllabus information. And during our next lecture, we're going to discuss an overview of Canvas in a little bit more detail, a little bit more granular. I hope that this presentation has been helpful. As always, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, contact me. I'll be glad to field those for you. Thanks so much and enjoy your day.